MMA Podcast, where we discuss upcoming events, news, and predictions. One of the more devastating knockouts you will see. Join us for the latest updates around the MMA world. Now, here are your hosts, Norris and Coop.
All right.
So I was thinking too, I can send you, before we actually started, I already hit recording, but I'll cut all this out. Before we get started, I can actually just send you that file if you want, so you have it.
That would work too, yeah.
I can send you that file so you can get that rolling. Did you go live on Twitch?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, let me go post that real quick, and then we can get started. Let me post about it. Throw it up on my story real quick. Where are you? There it is. Fucking odds.
Do you guys know how many people in Kansas have been vaccinated?
No, probably about 6, 7, 8,000 or whatever. I don't know.
1.7 million people are in Kansas.
You see your chat?
Waiting to see if someone else is going to get
You see your
vaccinated.
chat? It says your sound alerts, bro. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, that's fine. That's just
Okay.
when I'm playing, people can like play like the John Cena theme, like they can like use their points and like
shit.
random sounds and stuff.
I just stopped the recording for a second while I post this.
Okay.
Just
Chat
fucking
is just
recording.
on alerts, bro. I don't know what that
Yeah,
means.
that's fine. That's just when I'm playing, people can like
Fucking share this. Thank you. God damn. Oh, you put the logo on it. That's pretty cool.
yeah. Some of the I'm looking at the list. The UFC Fight Night 200 on February 5th. Kind of excited for that. The card looks. I mean, not a lot of big names, but like that Brian Battle Tresean Gore fight is one that I was looking forward to.
Oh yeah, from the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
It's Coop Games just with a 3, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Yep, there we go. Okay, let me clip that on here. Make that nice and big for the people. And put me an arrow. My computer would stop sounding like a jet engine. That would be fucking fantastic.
I'm happy mine has kind of stopped doing that. I cleaned it out a little bit. And it's been a little bit
Sucks, dude.
Yeah,
fucking sucks. Okay, it should be posted. Let me answer this snap, and then we'll be good.
All right.
And I'll hit record, and I believe Thursday is the 20th, yeah?
Thursday is the 20th, yes.
Cool. Okay, I think we're good. But yeah, I can just, if you want to send me your email, I can send you that file.
Okay, I'll send it afterwards.
Cool. All right, I'm going to hit record right now, and then I'll start talking. Okay, welcome back, everybody. It is Thursday, January 20th, 2022, and we are live for episode 2 of Off the Canvas MMA. I'm Norris.
And I'm Coop.
So, Coop, we got a lot to talk about here today, man. Obviously, big card this past weekend on the 15th. A lot of exciting results, and I think the main event really shocked everybody.
Yeah, I know on here we talked about like if Cater was going to beat Chikadze, it was going to be through grappling and like wrestling, but he definitely outstruck him on the feet. The later rounds. I think that we were kind of right in the fact that his grappling and stuff was like slowing Chikadze down and his pace. That's something I didn't expect from him, was his him to keep his pace up so much, and Chikadze, stayed on his back foot and wasn't able to, fire kicks off like he usually does.
Yeah, I was really surprised by just the constant pressure Cater was able to put onto him and just walk through a lot of the shots that Chikadze was throwing at him. But yeah, I believe I said in episode 1 that I'm pretty sure I said that this fight was going to stay on the feet the whole time, and I was obviously very wrong. Cater going to his wrestling early, and it seemed to work. It seemed to drain him in a way that he was unable to just get any offense going. It seemed like he was playing defense for probably a solid 20 minutes, because you could probably find a good 5 minutes in that fight where he was producing offense. Probably the whole first round, you could argue, was his best round offensively, with the exception of that takedown late in the round. But yeah, I think Cater surprised a lot of people. A lot of people had high hopes for Chikadze to kind of walk through Cater, and then obviously be able to claim the next title shot against the winner of Volk and Korean Zombie.
Yeah, I think that I think Chikadze, honestly, I don't think that really hurt his stock as much as a loss would. Like, he got tested more than he has been in his UFC career. And he didn't go out. He showed that he can take a punch and like stick through it. I thought that was pretty good showing from him. Obviously, he would have wanted to do some more. Let his striking go a little bit, but I think that it was important for him to not just he didn't just fold. I think that was a good thing.
Yeah, he definitely showed a lot of toughness. I certainly wasn't expecting that. One of the biggest questions I had was, how is he going to react to getting hit? Because anybody who knows Calvin Kattar, he can walk through shots. He can walk through just about anything. You throw at him and he's going to hit you back. So I was definitely interested in seeing how Chikadze was going to respond to that. And I was impressed. I must say, I was expecting him to go down in round 3. With when Kattar was throwing the hellbows towards the end of the round, I was expecting him to just fall and collapse, and that was going to be that. But he ended up fighting through it.
Flashbacks to the Jeremy Stevens elbow. I thought 100%
Yeah,
was going out. Like,
I was waiting for one of those to land clean and just fold him.
Yeah, but he ate him. He got wobbled like a decent amount of times, and I think that like that pressure that Kattar put on at the beginning was just like, his cardio wasn't as good as Kattar's, but it was still great. He was still, the end, right at the end, like the last 10, 15 seconds of the fight, he was, just they were firing back and forth. Like, Chikadze was trying to take him out, and I think he knew that he was down in the fight, and a lot of guys at that point, when you're beat up that bad, will just kind of fold, but he was going after him still.
Yeah, kind of going back to what you said, I agree that this loss doesn't necessarily hurt his stock as much as it helped Kattar's. I think for Kattar's stock, I definitely rised after this, because anytime you shut down a big time prospect that's been untouchable in the UFC, you're going to get a lot of love and praise. So I almost want to see after this fight, kind of a tough one, but I think Kattar and Holloway would be a good one, even though we know how that last one turned out. But I think after that showing, he's back, man. Like, we tweeted out, "Welcome back, Calvin Kattar." Like, that might be the best I have seen Calvin Kattar. I mean, obviously he was still getting hit pretty well, but he was all for it. He was game. I can't tell you a time where he stepped backwards in that fight. He was all for it.
Definitely. I think that I obviously Holloway Kattar too would be a good fight, but I think that personally, what I want to see is Kattar versus T City. I think him and Ortega, I think that would be a really good fight, both of them. I mean, Kattar got, crushed by Holloway, came back, did well against Chikadze this weekend, and T City coming off, a loss in the title fight with Volkanovski. I think that would be a pretty good fight.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good fight in the essence that it would really test Kattar's grappling skills, because we know as Ortega, we like to think of Ortega as probably one of the best grapplers the featherweight division has to offer.
Yeah. And
listening to the broadcast team this past weekend, I actually didn't notice about Calvin Kattar that he was, I believe that they said he was an All-American wrestler.
Yeah.
Which was very surprising to me, because, you don't see Calvin Kattar wrestle that often. You just think of him as this hardcore boxer.
Yeah.
So to think of that was pretty cool. I think I actually kind of agree with you now. I kind of want to take back the Holloway statement. That'd be a good fight, man. You get to see Ortega's fantastic, outstanding grappling against Kattar. I think that'd be one of the classic striker versus grappler matchups in essence.
Yeah.
But I think that'd be a good one.
I think too, Ortega's striking has improved, immensely from
tremendously.
where he was before that Holloway fight. If you watch his fight against Korean Zombie, he picked him apart on the feet.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good test for both of them. I don't know, if McMahon and Dana White want to make that fight because both of those guys are pretty popular. But
the featherweight division is so exciting right now because there are so many exciting matchups to make.
Yeah, and we talked about this last time too.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's a crazy. There's a lot of top end guys in that division, which is good.
Yeah, it's like Chikadze. I mean, I think he's still going to be. I don't see his. Have you checked the rankings? Did he drop at all? I wouldn't think he did.
I haven't seen the rankings.
I wouldn't imagine he did. I wouldn't imagine so.
Yeah, not.
But still, whoever he fights next is going to be a good one.
Yeah. And some of the other fights. I mean, it was a lackluster card, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was just so fun to have UFC back and be able to sit here and watch it.
Yeah, I mean
that was the shining moment from Saturday.
Definitely. I mean the Brandon Royval fight was pretty good too. I know we touched on that one in the last episode, saying that it could be pretty good. But it was definitely like high paced, a lot of action.
Yeah,
went to a decision.
Absolutely. But... Yeah, that definitely was an interesting one. Despite Royval getting the split decision victory, I definitely think Bontorin won that fight just purely off of activity. I felt like he was the more active fighter in rounds 2 and 3. And I believe he had Royval on the ground for at least a good majority of round 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he had him.
Don't quote me on that, but I know he had control of Royval on the ground for quite a while. And I mean, honestly, this was just one of those fights where both fighters did so much that there's not really a loser. We see a lot of those fights, and it's just one of the tough things about the sport is that, or with any sport really, there always has to be a loser, especially when you get a good fight like this. It really could have gone either way for both of these guys.
Yeah, I think that Royval, like towards the end, really just put like the stamp on it in the last round because a lot of the commentators talk about how you finish, and he really went after him in the last round and kind of put the stamp on it, which I liked.
Yeah, especially the last 15 seconds, he really got after it.
Got on him and just started throwing the elbows. And like if you look at it, significant strikes, 40-28 Royval, total strikes 81-39 Royval. Control time though was 7:40 for Bontorin and 1:45 for Royval. So, take what you want from that, but I think that it definitely could have gone either way.
Yeah, it was definitely a toss-up for sure, but it was a very exciting fight to watch. Don't get me wrong, but it's just one of those tough ones where you hate to be a judge there, Yeah.
And then before we touch on some of the other fights, one of the two finishes was I'm gonna mess this guy's name up, but Viacelev Borschtev. That body shot that he landed was he just shut him off.
It was crazy. It was crazy. And then did you see the dance moves after?
Yeah, some pretty good.
The best part of that performance was his post-victory dance moves. That definitely had me excited.
Yeah,
seeing somebody dance like that.
That body shot was just nasty.
Brutal.
Nasty.
I think it was what was it? Uppercut to the liver, or was it a body hook? Yeah, it was one of them, but landed clean. Yeah. Just a lot of times, you see guys it'll periodically like just drop them, but this one it was instantly hit the ground and it was over.
Yeah. Some of the other fights that we talked about, which weren't like great, Bill Algeo. I like that. I like him.
I did like that one.
I mean, he just his output is just a ton. He had 112 total strikes to the other guy's 46. 44 strikes to the head. If you're putting out output like that, you're probably gonna be doing pretty well.
Yeah.
The other guy just didn't really, sometimes to have a really good fight, you have to have an opponent who's equally as willing to trade. And it seemed to me like it just kind of wasn't like that in that fight. But Algeo did what he needed to do, got the unanimous decision. So
that was definitely one of the more exciting decision victories, I think, on the card. That was nonstop action for 15 minutes. That was definitely a good fight to watch. Another one that I want to touch on that I predicted down to a T was the Caitlin Chukagi and Jennifer Maya card, or fight rather.
You definitely
down. Listen to episode 1, people. I go to where we talk about Chukagian. I quote unquote, I don't know the exact quote, but I definitely said we are going to see 15 minutes here. There will not be a finish.
Yeah, you did.
And what did we get? What did we get?
15 minutes of some pretty good.
15
fighting.
Minutes of action.
Yeah, you were saying that it's a good fight in the essence that we almost know that we're going to get 15 minutes. Of good action, and it was good. It was high output.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a really exciting fight.
I was surprised at how well Chukagian grappled with Maya, because of how Maya won her last fight. I don't know if it was her last fight. Oh no, it wasn't her last one, but her fight against Joanna Calderwood, now Joanna Wood. Like she just dominated her on the ground, and JoJo is a top contender in the flyweight division. And Chukagian's not really known for being like a grappler or ground specialist. She's more like we talked about last time, wear and tear. Just kind of punch you until you don't want to fight anymore.
Yeah, she's gonna pick you apart. Yeah.
And she held her own on the ground, like grappling with her. I thought that was impressive from her, and I thought it was a great showing from her to get her back up into that upper echelon of that division, which was pretty good.
Yeah, I think she's probably at least a fight or two away from getting another title shot. Yeah, she's got to be. I mean, who else is there?
Yeah.
Because that division's very slim as it is.
And then speaking of, being surprised by grappling, was the heavyweight fight between Collier and
oh my gosh,
Sherman.
This fight went to the ground, and I'm like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
Is this really happening right now?
Just two big bodies. I thought they were just gonna go at it, and they were just kind of beating each other up on the feet a little bit, and then he just went.
Oh my god!
Threw a kick. He just grabbed it and took him down. I was so confused.
Dude, the entire highlight video they showed for these two before they walked out was knockouts.
Yeah, them just
not a single highlight was grappling, and we get a rear naked choke in round 1. Rear naked choke victory.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely.
My mind was blown. I was sitting in my chair watching this, and I'm like, "Is this really happening? Like, what is going on? This is not Curtis Blaze fighting. What's going on?"
I was sitting there watching it with my dad, and he was like, "Oh, like, this one's not going to go the full distance," and I was like, "Yeah, it's definitely not."
He was right.
He was
right.
Just not how we expected.
Not how you expected it to.
No, not at all.
But to touch a little bit more on that fight, Chase Sherman, he's going to be gone. He's going to get cut after his final fight of his contract. This is his second stint in the UFC, and I don't think his record has held up very well in the UFC. I don't know the exact stats on that, but he left the UFC because I do remember him. It was early, I want to say 2016 maybe was the last time I saw him fight in the UFC. I was like, oh yeah, this guy's interesting. After he got cut from the UFC, he went on, I believe it was a four-fight win streak in a different promotion, and then they signed him back to the UFC, and I believe he's now either 1-2 or 0-3 on that new contract.
He is 1-3.
1-3 in this new UFC contract.
Yeah, his one fight being over Ike Villanueva by knockout.
And he was 4-0 in that other promotion before signing with the UFC, correct?
3-0. And Island
3-0.
Island fights.
Yeah, whatever promotion that is. But needless to say, I think that might be the last we see of Chase Sherman in the UFC.
I mean,
they might even cut him early.
You look at the fights that he lost in the UFC. He lost to Walt Harris. He lost to Shamil Abdurakhimov, Augusto Sakai. Like he didn't lose to bad guys until his last 3 fights in the UFC. Lost to Andrei Arlovsky, legend, one of my favorite fighters ever. Lost to Parker Porter, and then now Jay Collier. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
It's just tough because you know how the UFC operates with that. If you go on a losing skid, they don't care who you are unless you're holding a belt.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't give a shit.
Exactly.
So, and if we want to get more into grappling, I want to talk about my guy Court McGee here. This fight, man, I was so excited and happy to see how he just completely dominated this one.
Yeah, he definitely.
Because I remember the announcers, the broadcast team was saying that Ramiz is usually he's usually flip-flopped in that scenario where he is like delivering that kind of punishment to people in the grappling world, and he was on his hands and knees for and on his back for the whole 15 minutes. It felt like he was just completely dominated in this one. and he was getting picked apart on the feet too, which was.
Yeah.
I was just so excited to see that because Court McGee is one of my favorite vets.
He's definitely.
I remember watching him on The Ultimate Fighter, and it's just great to see him competing at that level again.
Yeah, it was good to see him win. Definitely was pulling for him. That was his. He fought once in 2021, won that. That's 2 wins in a row for him, both by decision. I mean, I'm looking at his like fights in the UFC, and this is just. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 17 decisions and 1 KO TKO.
He's a grinder, man.
Yeah.
He grinds people out.
Yeah, I mean, all of his, and the 1 KO, he got knocked out by Ponzinibbio, but
that's gonna happen.
Yeah, he hits like a truck. So
yeah. But yeah, obviously he's not moving into a title picture or anything. I don't think at this point in career that's the right. At this point in his career, it's the right move to make. But he's going to be here fighting for his kids. Also, but with the exception of Stephen Thompson, probably one of the nicest fighters the UFC has under contract.
Definitely.
So that was the card from January 15th, and now we got a very big card coming up here on Saturday, the 22nd. What are you thinking here? I'm really excited for this one.
I'm super excited in this one. It's in my hometown at the Honda Center, which I go to all the time. So that's.
Did you get tickets?
Cool. I did not. I'm gonna be watching the Bengals game at 1:30.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I'm gonna have the fights recorded for sure. The prelims. I'm excited for some of these prelims. Leading off the card, I love Kay Hanson. I love watching her fight. 7-4. Her fights are pretty entertaining. She has 2 fights in the UFC, 1 win by submission and a loss, this unanimous decision loss in her last fight in 2020. I want to say she got hurt. I think she tore her ACL or did something of that nature. And that's why she didn't fight a ton. But I think that she brings a lot to the table, and she's under 25. She's only how old is she? She is, I want to say, she's 22. Yeah, she's 22. And she was on the rankings of top 25 MMA fighters under 25. And number 2 on that list is also fighting on this card, Ilia Topuria. He's 24 years old. He's 11-0 in the UFC. Excited for that. Where was she ranked on here? She was 14. She's ranked 14 on the 25 fighters under 25. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited in a way for the prelims because this is I talked about this a little bit last week, saying that, we're kind of getting towards that period of time where we're going to start seeing a lot of people that aren't necessarily as well known. And I'm excited to watch prelims because I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't think there's a single person on the prelims that I recognize by name.
Yeah.
So I'm excited in a way that it looks like there's a lot of good prospects. I'm seeing a lot of undefeated fighters here. We got Michael Morales, 12-0. I'm probably going to butcher this name. Gennaro Valdez, 10-0. And then Ilia Topuria, 11-0.
Yeah.
And then there's a guy, Pete Rodriguez, 4-0. So, there's a lot of potential here, and I'm excited to kind of see that younger talent that's going to be in the UFC, hopefully, for the next coming years. So it'll be cool to learn about these newer guys that are coming up through the ranks.
Yeah. One fight that I'm going to be missing on this card is that Spivak versus Greg Hardy fight that got canceled, moved to UFC further down the road. That was going to be a pretty good fight. But I think that they're going to bump that Topuria and Charles Jourdain fight up to the main card, which is good for them. They get that main card money, which is pretty good. And they're going to get a little bit more recognition. I'm going to touch on Topuria a little bit here. He's 11-0, 24 years old. Like I said, he's number 2 on the 25 under 25 for MMA. He knocked out Ryan Hall. He's the one who knocked out Ryan Hall in his return fight.
Oh, he did? Okay, yeah. So, okay. I vaguely know of this person. I vaguely know of him.
He's fought 3 times in the UFC. won by unanimous decision in October of 2020. He fought on the Sanhagen Moraes card on the prelims. Unanimous decision there. First round knockout in 2 minutes on the Hermanson Vettori card. And then a first round knockout on the Poirier McGregor card. I like his style a lot. He likes to bang, but he's pretty well versed on the ground as well. If you look at his 3 out of his last 4 fights, he's won by knockout. But if you look at his first 5 fights, like in MMA, submission, first round submission, first round submission, first round submission, second round, first round, all submissions. He's only had 1 fight go the distance in his career, and he's only had 1 other fight go past the first round in his career. So he's pretty electric. I'm really looking forward to him. And then Charles Jourdain he's not a slouch either. 12-4. He's only 26 years old. Won his last fight out against Andre Ewell on the Louis Dacus card. So pretty quick turnaround for him. He's fought a lot of good like well-known names in the UFC. He fought Doo Ho Choi, Superboy. Andre Fili, Marcelo Rojo, Julian Erosa, Andre Ewell. So he's fought like pretty decent names. So I'm looking forward to that fight. I think that's one of my favorite fights on the card.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to circle that one as well, just after hearing, because, now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of vaguely know who Ilia Topuria is, because if I'm not mistaken, the Ryan Hall fight from the Poirier McGregor card, that was on the early prelims, right?
It was.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yep. I vaguely know of him then, but yeah, after hearing the results of some of his fights, I think that's one I'm definitely going to have to pay attention to, because, the prelims, you're just kind of there you'll look up every once in a while, unless there's a big name, no one really gives a too big a shit about the prelims, but sometimes something will happen and it'll catch your eye. But I think that's when I'm definitely going to have to sit there while I'm sitting at Buffalo Wild Wings this weekend. I'm going to have to really pay attention to that one. Yeah. We're going to be clocking in at B-dubs for probably a solid 4 to 5 hours this weekend. I haven't done it in a while, and we're game. We're ready. Got the squad pulling up.
Yep.
B-dubs and Hutchinson, Kansas better be ready for us.
It's gonna be pretty good night for you guys. Another fight that I want to touch on, or fighter, really is Trevin Giles. He's fought, I want to say 4, maybe 5 times in the UFC. Actually more than 3, 6. This is gonna be his 9th fight in the UFC. Started fighting in 2017. Won 2 fights, lost 2, won 3, lost 1. He's beaten some pretty good fighters. He beat James Krause, beat Ryan Spann, and then beat Roman Dolidze. He lost to Drissis du Plessis, the fighter from South Africa, who I like that guy a lot. So don't take anything away from him for that loss. But I like Trevin Giles. I think he's going to be pretty good. And he's fighting a guy that you mentioned earlier, who is 12-0 in Michael Morales, who I am pulling up his stuff right now because I know nothing about him, but I do like that he's 12-0.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever heard of him before, but I mean, I'm going to take a wild guess and say he's probably a striker.
He's I mean, at 12-0, he's probably, he's going to be a pretty good fighter.
Let's take it. Let's see. We got a win by decision. His last time out was a win by decision, KO, doctor stoppage, KO, triangle choke, little curveball in there, KO, corner stoppage. So somebody actually quit on him, which you never want to do that. Decision, doctor stoppage. So yeah, you get the essence. He's you get the picture here. He's gonna go out and he's gonna bang it up.
Yeah, I think that'll be a fun fight to watch. Not really sure how it's gonna go. But another fight where I know.
Oh, this is actually his UFC debut. I just caught too. He was the Dana White Contender Series winner in September, and looks like he's making his UFC debut this weekend.
Okay, there we go. There's a debut to look out for. Moving on to another fighter who I know more about, who's honestly might be, fighting to keep his contract in the UFC is Matt Favola. He's 31 years old. He is fighting. Why can I not? He's fighting. What's this guy's name? Valdez. Genaro Valdez. Who is this his first UFC fight? This is also his first UFC fight. This is the one you were talking about earlier. He's 30 years old.
Yeah.
He is 10-0. Got his a knockout victory on Dana White's Contender Series last year, in October. So not much to go off from him, but for Vola, I think it'll be a good test for him. Lost his last 2 fights. 31 years old. Don't know how much longer he's going to be in the UFC if he loses this one.
Could be it.
That'll be a pretty good fight. And then I'm just going through this list trying to find some of the other fights that I think are going to be good for people to watch.
At least the exciting thing we know is that we have 2 Dana White Contender Series alums making their UFC debuts in the prelims.
That is definitely true.
And those are free to watch.
They are. Another guy that I know I've watched before is Ryoni Barcelos. Barcelos. He's 16-2. He lost his last fight in the UFC. But he's went on a long streak. He held the title and defended it 3 times in RFA. So I mean he's a pretty good fighter. I know I've seen his fights before. He fought Said. Is it Said Nurmagomedov or Said?
Honestly, dude, I couldn't tell you.
I don't know.
All the Nurmagomedovs of the world, the UFC, Bellator, they all have just, I don't know, names that I'm going to butcher, so I'm just going to try to avoid them.
Who he's also fighting on this card, and Barcelos beat him.
For the sake of the argument, we'll just call him Saeed. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt and hope that's correct.
Yeah.
Until we hear it on Saturday, we'll go with that.
Yeah. We can actually move into that fight if you want to. Going into the main card, Cody Stamann versus Said Nurmagomedov. That one's definitely.
I do like Stamann a lot. I do. He's a very exciting guy to watch. He's always he's very active in the cage. He's always fun to watch. He's always down. He's always game.
Yeah,
this is his last fight I remember watching him. I mean, he did lose to his last fight. He lost to Merab, which he's just an up and coming force in the bantamweight division. But
yeah.
I believe it was when he fought Brian Kelleher. I think he was fighting Brian Kelleher. I believe it was UFC 250 Nunes Spencer, and that was he won via decision, and that was a really good fight. I really enjoyed watching that one.
That was a great fight. He hasn't fought any slouches in the UFC. He fought Aljo, lost to Aljo by submission. Fought Alejandro Perez. Fought Yadong Song, Kelleher, Jimmy Rivera, and then Merab Dvalishvili in his last fight. So like you said, he definitely pushes the pace and fights. His fights are always fun to watch. And then the guy he's fighting, Said Nurmagomedov. I mean,
probably going to be a grappler.
You know what you're getting.
You hear Nurmagomedov, yeah.
You know what you're getting. From this guy, but he did win his last fight by first round KO in 50 seconds on the
that's
Ortega
different.
Korean Zombie fight. And then you look at most of the other ones: decision, submission, decision.
So this could be a new breed of Nurmagomedovs we're seeing here.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could be. I remember that last fight, watching it, and it was just really, really quick knockout. That's a good fight. I
would not have expected that.
Like I said, I wish we still had the Spivak fight on there.
Yeah, just because Greg Hardy, I mean, former football player turned UFC fighter. That's just, who's not going to want to watch that?
Yes, he's got.
And he's had some success. He has.
I did enjoy watching him get knocked out in his last fight, though, against, why can I not remember? Tai Tuivasa. he rocked.
Was that who knocked him out?
Yeah, he rocked Tuivasa. Tuivasa fell back a little bit, threw a big left hand, clipped him, and just out.
Oh,
cold.
that's right. That's right. Oh yeah, I forgot that was Tuivasa.
And then Tuivasa came out and won his last fight.
Was that the Tuivasa coming out party? He's just been on a tear ever since.
It really has been. He has been on a tear since then, and I don't know how high.
No, he's only had one fight since then.
I don't know, but he won a fight before that too against Greg Hardy.
Yeah, crazy thing is too. Remember how I was telling you that I'm not too big on that Sergey Spivak?
Yes.
I just don't find him very interesting. Tuivasa actually got submitted by him in 2019.
I think I remember watching that fight because Spivak, we could touch on him a little bit. He's 13-3. His last loss was to Aspinall, but that's because Aspinall is just an absolute.
Aspinall's going to be really good, man.
An absolute menace. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch. He's just so fast for a heavyweight, but Spivak has beaten Carlos Felipe by decision. Who I don't know if you saw that today. He got suspended by USADA. He tested positive for steroids.
I did see that.
He beat Jared Vandera and Alexei Olenek, and then lost to Tom Aspinall. But I enjoy. I don't. When he pushes the pace and fights hard, I like it. I enjoy watching him, but he doesn't do that all the time. He kind of just kind of lays back sometimes, which obviously is not super enjoyable. But we can go. These last 3 fights on this card, I think, are really the ones that I'm most excited
premier
for. Yeah.
Yeah.
Andre Fialo, props to him for stepping up and taking the fight against Michel, because it's not definitely not an easy fight at all. Especially to make your UFC debut.
I wouldn't count him out though. I mean, because I remember we talked about this last week. Tristan Connolly stepped in on short notice to fight Pereira.
Yeah.
And beat him. So I mean,
definitely,
this
definitely not
has happened to Pereira before.
I'm just saying props to him for doing that.
Anytime you step in short notice, that's big time.
I had heard of him before, because he knocked out James Vick in a different
promotion.
It's XMMA. Knocked out James Vick there, and then just went on a tear in UAE Warriors, which is that Abu Dhabi fight promotion. Who I don't know if you watch some of the UFC embeddeds, but Dana White went there and watched some fighters there, but he signed there and 3 first-round KOs.
Yeah, I usually try to watch the UFC embeddeds the day of the fights, like before the prelims come on. I'll watch all of them. It's a good way to get ready for everything.
Yeah, his first fight in UAE Warriors was an 18-second knockout. Yeah, so he's coming off 4. He's on a 4-fight win streak, 4 knockouts. James Vick being one of them. So I definitely wouldn't count him out. But
this is definitely a fight Pereira is going to like them, because if he likes to keep it on the feet, if Fialo likes to keep it on the feet, man, that's definitely Pereira's world. It's definitely going to be his world too. So we could see a very interesting stand and bang battle here.
Yeah, but I mean, Pereira coming off 3-fight win streak. Imadaev, who I like, Kalen Williams, he beat him. He beat up Nico Price pretty good, who's one of my favorite fighters. He's always game. But coming into this is gonna be his 7th fight in the UFC. Trying to make more of a name for himself. He's always entertaining. He's always gonna have people watching his fights. But I think Bisping talked about it in his last fight a little bit, that he needs to focus less on the showmanship of the fight. And if you can put a guy away quickly, put him away quickly. He has a tendency to play with his food, and he hits somebody, knocks him down, he does a little dance, messes around. Yep. I think that, like Bisping said, if he wants to, put himself in contention for a title shot, he's got to finish somebody, finish him quick, and don't do all these huge moves and a bunch of wasted energy. I think but I think that's definitely going to be a good fight.
Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised to hear that come out of Bisping's mouth because he's very anti-showmanship. He's very old school in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can definitely see where he's coming from. He's more of, I'm going to go out there and put a show on for all the fans and just be the talk of the hour.
Yeah.
And if I get a win, I get a win. But he's also very skilled. And did you see the Instagram post that he posted? He is looking ripped. Like he is shredded. Like I think I saw that this morning, and it's like, oh wow, holy shit, this guy is massive.
He looks great. So we'll see how he comes out and fights, how his gas tank is. But that moves us on to our fight to watch for this card, between Brandon Moreno and Deiveson Figueiredo. The co-main event, the title fight, flyweight.
I'm so excited for this one. But yeah, like you just said to everyone listening, our Off the Canvas MMA must fight watch of the week, Brandon Moreno versus Deiveson Figueiredo. A lot of you out there might be saying, oh, well, why didn't you pick Cyril Gane and Francis Nganu, blah, blah, blah. No, shut up. This one is the one to watch. This is going to be one hell of a fight.
The action that these two and the pace that they fight at is going to be just, I mean, if you watch their first two fights,
incredible.
I know there was the draw because of Figgy, kicking him in the nuts. I don't know if he should have been docked a point for that, but whatever.
Yeah.
They have that draw, so they fight a second time, and Moreno subs him. Both of those fights, Moreno had points where he could have finished them. I think he had the upper hand on the striking. Figueiredo obviously hits a little bit harder than him, but
it was surprising last fight. You're so, we are so used to Figueiredo being this dominant force on the feet and with sneaky submissions. And he just got outstruck and outgrappled.
Just walking through people, Figueiredo. His two fights against Benavidez, just literally walking him down the cage.
It was crazy.
And just putting his lights out. That is the Deiveson Figueiredo that I think everybody was expecting in these two fights, for him to just come, walk down Brandon Royval, and just put his lights out, because he's a savage, an absolute savage. But Brandon Moreno, there's just something about him that he got hit with some bombs in both of those fights, and he's just eats them, keeps walking forward, and just keeps throwing. And I think that this is if you had to pick one fight to watch, yes, Francis Ngannou, Cyril Gane, the power, big boys, this is the fight that you have to watch. I think this is going to be, it's their third fight. Moreno beats Figgy. They're probably never going to fight again. If Figgy beats him, maybe there's a third fight, because then it's 1-1 with the draw, whatever. But I think that if you base this off of the last two fights, and if it goes anything like the last two fights went, this is the one to watch. And I think that it's going to be just a great fight.
It's going to be amazing, because, leading up to before their first fight, everyone in the flyweight division was scared of Figueiredo. Like, nobody has been able to put Benavidez out like that, let alone, but just completely dominate everybody he stepped in against. And Moreno, on the other hand, dude, another Ultimate Fighter alum. He's so interesting to watch, and there's something to be said about the heart. What do they call it? 'Cause I've heard him. He's talked about it before. The Mexican toughness.
Yeah, the
Mexican warrior heart. Like they are like it's true. If you watch fight 2 and fight 1, it's true. He walked through some bombs in fight 1. He was getting pieced up in fight 1 and didn't phase him. He's there. Even in fight 2, Figueiredo hit him with a couple good shots, but he's there. He's not known. You think of Brandon Moreno, you don't think of a world-class striker.
Right.
You go back and watch all of his fights on The Ultimate Fighter. His main goal was to get those fights to the ground. And we're seeing Moreno stand on the feet with Figueiredo of all people and trade and land and actually hurt Figueiredo. It's crazy to think about. I watching that first fight, I remember that it had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. I'm sitting here. It was much like the Pena and Nunes, where they're swinging back and forth, and it's like, holy shit. Like, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
Like Moreno striking with Figuerato in that first fight, mind blowing. It was insane. I mean, and then fight 2, just completely just outclassed him. And I think we're in for a very good fight here. This is going to be, in my opinion, this will be the best fight between these two because Figueiredo said it himself. Those past 2 fights, I believe the first night he fought sick, which, we don't know how much truth there is to that. Everybody will make up a bunch of bullshit. But allegedly, we'll say allegedly, he fought sick. And in their second fight, I believe he flat out said that wasn't me, like that. Because he gave up fairly quick. He didn't try to fight out of the submission. He tapped fairly quick. And leading into this one here, I'll let you go here a sec. Shit, my bad. Leading into this fight, looking at his training photos and his training footage, he's looking in tremendous shape, in much better shape than the other 2 fights. And I think that's going to work in his advantage. I'm just so excited for this one. This is going to be, obviously the Gane fight's going to be, Gane and Nganu is going to be amazing, but this one is just going to be true, just mixed martial arts at its finest.
Yeah. And I don't want to take anything away from Moreno. I just want to touch on a little bit about his story for those of the people who are listening who don't know everything about him. He, was on the Ultimate Fighter. He got cut from the UFC in 2019. He was cut.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Went to LFA, is undefeated since he came back, and he fought Askar Askarov to a draw in his first fight back. And I think me watching that, I was like, okay, like, yeah, I can see why they cut this guy. Like, it wasn't the greatest fight. Fought Kaikar France to a decision, Jussier Formiga to a decision. Then he TKO'd Brandon Royval, who, was kind of on a tear before that. And people were thinking, like, okay, this guy's going to, he's going to go through, he's going to beat Moreno, and he's going to get the next title shot. He's only had six fights since being re-signed to the UFC. Hasn't lost once. Has 2 draws, which I think is kind of funny because you don't really. That's not. Really,
you don't see it too often. Yeah. It's weird.
But for him to come back after being cut from the UFC and to become the first. Because I know Cain Velasquez was the first Mexican champion, but he was born in the U.S. So for Moreno to be the first Mexican-born UFC champ after coming back from, getting cut by the UFC, I think he just shows, just incredible, spirit and just drive to get better and compete, which is going to be that fight is just going to be a great fight.
Yeah, I'm like I said probably 100 times already because when I get rolling, I'll black out some of the things I say. But this fight, man, I can't wait, and I can't stress enough how good of a fight this is going to be. I mean, I really hope somebody doesn't get caught in round 1 because I want to see these guys go to a decision like this. I don't like seeing decisions, but I want to see this go to a 5th round.
This is
this deserves because fight 1 going the distance, that was one of my favorite fights to ever watch.
Yes.
With the exception of the nut shot, docking a point, and ultimately ruling it a draw. But this, I really want to see 25 minutes here. This is going to be just a hard-fought, high-paced, high-action 25 minutes fighting. And you don't see that as much anymore. Definitely
not. But then to go from that to the main event, which I'm sure everybody...
Holy shit, dude.
Everybody already knows about. Everybody's excited for Francis Ngannou, Cyril Gane. I don't even know where to start with this fight. As Ngannou is the baddest man on the planet, UFC heavyweight champ. He touches you, your lights go out. The hardest puncher in the history of the UFC, probably the hardest puncher in the history of the world. I don't know, put him up with Dante Wilder, Tyson Fury, maybe. I don't know. That's just gonna be. I think that this could win fight of the night. The only reason I think that this might not win fight of the night is if one of them gets touched and goes to sleep in the first minute of the fight.
Which is definitely possible.
Definitely possible. Everybody obviously always talks about Ngannou's power and how he's the best heavyweight. I think that Gane matches up with him stylistically better than pretty much anybody. because of how well he uses his length and how technical of a striker he is, I think his way to win against Nganu is going to be to keep him at bay. Throw those teep kicks, throw those leg kicks, kicks to the stomach, throw those long jabs, just kind of move. Joe Rogan says he's built like a heavyweight, moves like a middleweight, and he really does. He's
I was just about to say that. Like watching him, I haven't watched all of his fights, but I've watched enough because you hear about this guy. It's like, oh shit, okay, I'm going to tune in and watch this guy. Watching his fights, man, I would never believe that a heavyweight fighter in the UFC could move the way he does. It's crazy to think about. Like this guy just floats around, moves around, and he's a very quick dude. And to be in the heavyweight division out of all divisions and doing what he is doing, let's go back a minute and let's look at what he did to Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis, the guy the knockout king, the self-proclaimed knockout king, and he just got. It was embarrassing almost.
It was pretty embarrassing. And now to give Lewis a little bit of leeway on that one, he talked about in his build-up in his last fight. He talked about how that the fight was a 1 day he said like 5 years or 10 years or something exactly to the day of when he got out of prison.
Very emotional day. I believe that was in Houston.
Yeah.
Yep.
But not to take anything away from Gane because he picked him apart on the feet and really just made him quit, something that we haven't seen Derek Lewis do.
Nobody does that to Derek Lewis.
Nobody does it to him. But so the first fight I watched of Cyril Gane's was his against Tanner Besser, whatever. I went to a decision December 2019. I remember watching it, seeing this guy who was like 6-0 in his MMA career. He had fought twice in the UFC, or 3 times in the UFC. No, twice prior to that. That was his third fight. And I remember it going into a decision. I saw the way he fought, and you could tell that he didn't know everything about MMA yet. Because you'd only have
he's relatively new to the sport. He's relatively new.
He has 10 MMA fights. For him to have 10 MMA fights, to be the interim heavyweight champion, for him to be fighting
since 2018 too. Since 2018, yes. So he's very active.
Exactly.
Extremely active.
The way that he fights is just so fun to watch because he doesn't get hit, and he can put your lights out, but he's just so quick, you don't even see it coming. And he just fights so smart. He makes you fight how he wants to fight. His fight against Volkov went to a decision. Volkov's taller than him, longer than him, probably has a better jab. Volkov probably has the best jab in the heavyweight division.
No doubt.
Gane brought it in close, grappled with him, hit him from a distance when he needed to, but made him fight at the pace he wanted to. Jairzinho Rozenstruik went to a decision. Same thing, kind of wore him down, grappled him out, got in close, took away his power. And then Derek Lewis, he did the same thing. He kind of bounced in and out. He had the speed advantage and hit him with the power shots when he wanted to, got in, got out really quickly, and just picked him apart. I think that's what he's going to have to do with Nganu. Stay on the outside, but Ngannou's longer than Lewis, stronger than Lewis, and hits harder, and I honestly think he's faster than him too. And if you look at Francis Ngannou, his fights, he's gotten better every time he goes out there. His last fight against Stipe, if you go back to his first fight against Stipe took him down and just pretty much made him quit. His last fight, I think he defended 2, maybe 3 takedowns from Stipe, and then put his lights out.
At that point in the fight, when Stipe couldn't get him on the ground, I think he knew in his head it was over. Because he can't stand and trade with him.
No.
You're going to get knocked out.
I don't think anybody can stand and trade punch for punch, power punch for power punch with Francis Ngannou.
Just to talk about, for everyone listening here, just to talk about, if you don't know, how hard Francis Ngannou hits. So this is a quote from Dana White. Francis Ngannou has the world record for the most powerful punch. His punch is the equivalent to 96 horsepower, which is equal to getting hit by a Ford Escort going as fast as it can. and it's more powerful than a 12-pound sledgehammer swung full force from overhead. That's insane. That's coming from a human being punching you.
And
it's like getting hit by a Ford Escort.
Not just any human being, a human being that is 6'4", 265 pounds. And he has to cut down to get to 265. I watched.
It's insane, man. It's almost like very like, was it Ivan Drago-esque?
Yes.
Just with that punch.
I watched a video. I don't know if you know the guy on YouTube, More Plates, More Dates. He did a breakdown of Francis Ngannou and what he thinks, because he did a gym and health thing where the people come in and they look at his gym at his house and what his fridge, what he eats at home. And so they're talking about how he almost definitely has to cut down to get to 265. So he's probably walking around everyday life 275, 280, and he's got to cut down to 265. And
that's insane to think about.
For him to be as shredded as he is at 265 pounds is just
natural too, all natural.
Ridiculous.
Natural strength.
Ridiculous.
It's crazy, man. It really is.
I think him coming off of two back-to-back losses to Stipe and then to Derek Lewis in what was probably the worst fight in UFC history, maybe the Lewis and Nganu fight. Maybe not the worst fight, but definitely the most disappointing fight.
Cause we were expecting a slugfest in that one, and we didn't really get it.
There was like 10 total strikes thrown. But the absolute tear that he's gone on since those two losses. 45-second knockout of Curtis Blades, 26-second knockout of Cain Velasquez, 1 minute knockout of Junior Dos Santos, 20-second knockout of Rosenstruik, and then
that was my favorite one. That was by far my favorite one.
I think, and then his last fight, his knockout against Stipe to get the title. That fight against Rosenstruik, I think he kind of threw out his game plan a little bit, but the way that he fought that fight was, I know if I touch you, you're going out, and you're not going to be able to put me out.
So let's see who can hit harder. Let's see who lands first.
We've never seen Nganu be stunned, be rocked, be hit at all, really, because nobody wants to trade with him. You go in and trade with him, you get touched, you're done. You're out cold. First 30 seconds of the fight, always.
I think that's what makes this one very interesting, is because, Gon's not going to be afraid to sit there and trade with him because he knows he's faster and can get in and out of distance at will.
He definitely
in and out of range.
And I think that he believes that he can make Ngannou fight at his pace. And also, only two people have been in there with Ngannou twice. It's Stipe, or only one person has been in there with him twice, and that was Stipe.
Yeah. That's fault. Curtis Blades was in there twice with him as well, in 2016 and 2018.
Oh, I hadn't gone back to 2016. Yeah.
Me both were TKOs, obviously, but
yeah. And then,
despite the point.
So not, only two people really know what getting punched by Francis Ngannou feels like. Cyril Gane was a training partner of his. They sparred.
Yep, and they've really been trying to build that narrative around this fight.
Definitely.
The media, at least, has really been trying to build this narrative. Oh, rivals, former training partners turned rivals, and then their favorite clip to play, dude, is that clip of Nganu walking past Gane and just not even acknowledging him.
Yeah.
When you look about it, or when you read up on it, I believe Nganu said he didn't realize he was there, and then I believe Gane said that the trainer that was with Nganu, they don't get along, so he didn't make an advance to say anything. But they've really been trying to build this narrative of bad blood when there really isn't any to be found there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because I watched the Embedded today, and Nganu was talking about Cyril, and he was talking about how he's like, he's fake. He's like, I always said he was fake, and this weekend, like, I'm gonna show him, because he was talking about how he doesn't care that he's the interim champ, like, it's a fake belt, just like he's fake.
It's crazy, man, because Dana White has said a lot of the times that Ngannou's representation is awful, and the fact that they're just not professional and just they don't do things the right way. So, and you don't really hear Ngannou talk about his opponents like that too much. So, a part of me wants to think that his management is like, hey, build this narrative so we can sell fights and get you paid, because in recent news, I believe he said he's not fighting for 500K anymore.
Yeah, he said,
which is fair.
He said
fair.
This is going to be the last fight, and then he is going to restructure his contract, is what he's saying.
And yeah, I don't know if you saw this either. He wants boxing options in his new contract.
Yeah, he does. I know Tyson Fury
talked
about wanting to fight Francis, but
that is interesting, and we'll see if that plays out. But I really feel like that Ngannou's representation and management team is really forcing him to build this narrative against Gane.
Yeah.
I don't know them personally. I'm just a guy sitting here talking on a microphone. But my gut opinion is that these two don't have any sort of animosity towards each other, and that they are really just striving to push this narrative of, yeah, we don't like each other, blah, blah, blah. Because Ngannou has been so underpaid throughout his career in the UFC that he needs this money. He needs this pay-per-view money.
Yeah.
And them and Moreno are really going to be the selling points for this pay-per-view, because other than that, there's not too many exciting fights to be watching. Like, everyone's going to be like, yeah, I'm going to pay $75 to watch Cody Stamann and a Nurmagomedov. Like, no one's saying that.
Exactly.
Ngannou and Gane and Moreno and Figuerato are the ones selling this pay-per-view. So if they need, probably in my mind at least, Ngannou's management team build this narrative, talk all this shit about him, so we can get you paid.
Yeah, that's definitely.
But who knows?
Who
knows? Like I said, I'm just a guy here talking. I don't know shit, So who knows?
Definitely a possibility. But all in all, I think that this card. Definitely top heavy, with the two, 3 main fights. But I think that it's going to be a pretty decent card. And then to go off of try to build off of that last fight, the main event of the Kattar Chikadze fight, or Kattar Chikadze card, the main fight of that. Try to build off that and just get people more excited to go. I think it's a good card. It's a good second card of the year. Definitely.
Yeah, it's going to be a big welcome back party, I feel like, for the UFC too, because they're not in Vegas for this. They're going. Yeah, they're not in Vegas, and they're not in Fight Island.
Yeah.
So this could be a big welcome back party for the UFC as a whole. Like, hey, we're not just doing cards in Vegas now. Look, we're going to California. One of you know this better than I do, but California is very high with COVID.
Oh, huge. There's
so the UFC to make their return to California is huge, not only for them, but for the fans.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely going to be a cool experience. And being down here, watching that UFC embedded, Gane was golfing at a driving range that I go to all the time. It's like pretty close to my house. And so seeing these guys like around in the areas that like I go to, it's
crazy.
Cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I had a similar feeling when I was watching the embedded for the oh man, I forget the last card of the last pay-per-view of the year. It was Gaethje Chandler and Poirier Oliveira, whatever. Was it 269?
Yes,
I believe it was 269. But yeah, so watching the UFC embedded 269. And Kamaru Usman was on that card too, I believe.
Yeah, it was
Usman, Namajunas, and Justin Gaethje all on the same card. Yes. So it wasn't the Oliveira card, right? Or was Oliveira on that one too?
That was the Oliveira. No.
Okay, hold on.
That wasn't the Oliveira.
I'm going.
Poirier fight.
Let me look it up. Okay, 269 was Oliveira Poirier. So it had to have been 268 then, right?
Or it's 267.
Yes, 268. Okay, now I'm back in check and my thoughts are gathered. So 268, UFC embedded 268 with Usman, Namajunas, and Gaethje. They all train with in Colorado with Trevor Whitman. And I'm from Colorado originally, for those of you who don't know. And there was videos of Gaethje running around Red Rocks, and it's like, dude, when I was 12 years old playing football, we used to run those same sprints. Yeah. Obviously not to the extent that he does, but it's like, holy shit, this guy is where I go all the time. And Namajunas lives in my town somewhere, and I need to find out. She lives near me. Like, they showed like outside her house, and I'm like, holy shit, I vaguely know where that is. When next time I'm home, I'm finding it. Because it's so cool, man. It's like a little kid in a candy shop. You see these guys that train by you, and you're like, oh my god. And then you risk, like, multiple of my friends have seen Justin Gaethje in public, and they've said he's just one of the coolest dudes ever.
if you watch that embedded that you're talking about too, you see him like doing like taking pictures of people while he's like running.
Yeah.
Um,
While he's running at Red Rocks, people were pulling over in their cars, and he's very fan friendly.
One of the first time that I have ever seen something like that was on the embedded with McGregor and Poirier, because McGregor had come down to California to train for it, and he was riding his
Yep.
bike around Newport Beach, and my girlfriend lives in Newport Beach, and he's riding. I remember taking a video of the him riding, and I was like, dude, I sent it to my girlfriend, and I was like, but I was like, you recognize the street? He literally rode his bike, like doing training, like on the street that I take to get to my girlfriend's house, like rode in front of her house. And I was like, dude, like
You saw
so
him, or
cool.
just sent her the?
No.
Or you just sent her the embedded?
I sent her the video of the embedded, and I was like, I wonder when this was filmed,
Okay.
because this is awesome.
So I was gonna say, dude, if you took a video of him and didn't run out there, I would be mad.
Yeah.
Because I am probably one of the biggest McGregor fans out there, as you can see via my hoodie for everyone watching on Twitch and YouTube.
There you go.
And I look, I'm pulling this down. I'm pulling this down for the people at home here. This is how big of a fan I have. I have a damn action figure of Conor McGregor. Like, if that's not dedication, I don't know what is. I have a tapestry in my living room. He watches over the apartment when I'm not here. I am one of the biggest McGregor fans out there, and I'm not ashamed to say it. But yeah, if you would have seen him, dude, I would have fully expected you, and I would have been disappointed if you didn't, to get out there and run and chase him down.
Yes,
because I would have done the same thing.
Well, okay, so it wasn't even. This was when we were in Georgia together, so it wasn't even like the embedded. I was watching the embedded in Trips.
Oh yeah, because we watched the McGregor card. I remember I watched
bus.
it on this laptop.
Yep.
On this laptop on the bus on the way home from South Carolina.
Yep. So.
But yeah, let's not talk about that, because that was a very disappointing time for me. Very disappointing bus ride home.
Very sad.
Very sad. I was almost in tears, verge of tears with that one. So, but yeah, so that wraps up the main card there. It's gonna be really fun, really exciting card. Let's go ahead and send things over to our in studio fight analyst Austin for his picks for this card. Okay, thank you, Austin, again for your picks. We're all very excited to see how your picks plan out this weekend. I know I'm just overly excited for this card. So, before we wrap things up here, we can touch on a couple other recent news here, and then towards the end, we'll give our picks between the two championship fights. So, just saw pretty recently here, Amanda Nunes leaves American Top Team to start her own team. Initial thoughts?
Personally, I don't think it's a great move. Her leaving, I mean, like, I understand from a business side, her leaving that and like creating her own brand. I get the business side, and I see if she's moving towards retirement, I could see how that is going to be beneficial towards her. Not like being able to create her own brand and having her own, source of revenue that way. But I think as a fighter, if she really wants to like continue being as competitive as can be, don't think it's the greatest move for her. But I mean, we'll see in the future who she brings in to coach, who she brings in to train with her, all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if she's gonna, leave ATT like completely, or if she's still gonna do a portion of her camp there, or what's gonna happen with that.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember reading an article about it, basically saying that this journalist was saying that ATT, American Top Team, for people who are saying, hey, what the hell is ATT? ATT, American Top Team. Journalist was saying, I don't remember the name, but American Top Team got her to where she was. American Top Team helped her along her way to getting 2 belts. And for her to leave, this could be the downfall of Amanda Nunes. We could be seeing the end of Amanda Nunes here, just by leaving camp and starting her own. I respect it. Maybe she thought, hey, things didn't go right in this last fight. I want to switch it up. Cool. We see fighters do it all the time. But I feel like it's not going to work out for her. I think if by doing this, if she's going to be starting her own gym, cool. But I think that's almost an advantage to Juliana Pena.
Yeah.
Knowing that she doesn't have to deal with all of the minds over at ATT that will be studying that fight until the cage door closes again.
And not only that has to be a moral victory for Juliana Pena to think, I beat her so badly that she left her camp that she's been with forever. Like, I think that's Juliana Pena has to feel pretty good about herself in that regard.
You definitely know she's thinking that too. Hey, everyone, look what I did, because Juliana Pena is no stranger to shit talking, and she was openly saying, hey, she literally sat there in the press conference, not to get off topic here, but she sat there up leading to this fight. This is what I'm going to do to Amanda Nunes, and she did it.
Went out to a T.
So for her, she's definitely saying that, if we haven't seen anything come out yet, we might need to check her Twitter. But yeah, Amanda Nunes leading, man, I don't think that's going to end well for her. I really don't.
No. Then I don't know if you wanted to touch. Well, we could touch on a couple other fights, which I like that have been announced recently. Miguel Baeza fighting Diego Lima at a UFC event on April 16th. That's gonna be a good fight. I love both of those guys. Both pretty good strikers, entertaining fighters. There was one more that I saw that was reported since our last episode, which I was excited to see. Maybe it was. Oh, I think it was the fact that Miesha Tate is moving down in weight for her fight.
Yeah, see, I remember last episode, I wasn't sure if she was or not, but now it's confirmed.
It's confirmed that she moved down.
She's doing that. She's moving down.
Which I don't know how that'll play out for her. I kind of like that idea. As you get older, make it, because you see a lot of fighters as they get older, they don't have as much power, so they move down in division, right? But
thinking that, hey, lower weight, okay, these guys don't hit as hard, but in reality, they hit just as hard.
They do hit just as hard, and that cutting weight as you get older, it's harder, and you slow down a little bit as you get older, and going down in division, they're going to be faster. So I don't know how it'll work out for Miesha. UFC Hall of Famer for sure. When she decides to hang the gloves up, but I think, which we saw in her last fight, she definitely has a lot to bring to the table still, and I think that she still has that drive behind her. So I'm excited for that whenever that fight ends up being. Even though she moved down to division, I think it'll be good.
Did they announce who she's fighting, or did they just announce that she's dropping down?
She's fighting. Hold on, I was looking at it. I knew who it was earlier.
It's probably not going to be anybody huge.
Lauren Murphy.
Oh shit! It's Lauren Murphy.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's going to be a really good one. Lauren Murphy's top of the division down there.
May 14th. That one's going to be. So she's got a good amount of time to.
Yeah, circle your calendars for that one.
Yeah, it'll be good.
It's going to be a really good one.
Some other ones, I don't know if you have. Let me look at my list that I have here of ones that have been announced recently. Kelvin Gastelum's fighting on April 9th.
I did see that one, and I don't remember who it was against, but I'm excited because I'm a huge Kelvin Gastelum fan.
He's fighting
the first and only Ultimate Fighter winner to be picked last on that show, and he won. He was picked last on the show, and he won. But he's always been just one of my favorites. I gotta say, sorry to get off track here, but I gotta say this to the people here. If you are unsure about MMA and you are looking, so here, let's give an example here. So if you are an MMA fan and you are looking to get your friends in MMA, and on the other hand, if you don't know about MMA, but you want to get into MMA, I personally highly recommend you go watch Adesanya versus Kelvin Gastelum. That is by far the most exciting fight I've ever watched, with the exception of Roy McDonald, Robbie Lawler too. But I feel like Gastelum versus Adesanya is slightly above, if not on the same plane as McDonald Lawler too. That fight will get you excited about UFC and MMA in general.
And if you're looking to get excited about women's UFC, the Yun Jacek versus Weili Zhang fight.
Oh my goodness!
That was the first UFC fight that my girlfriend had ever watched. We watched that together, and that was the fight of the year. That was the best women's MMA fight I have ever seen.
I agree with you 100%. That's the best one I've ever witnessed.
That's top.
With the exception of Nunes and Pena.
That's a top 5 fight for me in general, not just women's MMA.
Oh yeah, that's definitely probably within my top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of these days, man, we're gonna have to do this on here. We're gonna have to go over our top 10 like favorite fights of all time.
Definitely.
I think that's something we should do. I think that would be really cool to do because obviously I think we're gonna have different opinions.
Definitely. And I mean,
at least at number one, because there are so many good fights to pick from.
And
there's not going to be an outright number one.
I mean, there's also going to be fights that I've watched that you haven't watched, or fights that you've watched
exactly,
that I
vice versa.
So I think that's a good idea.
We're going to have to implement that.
Yeah.
But all right, so let's go wrap it up here. Back to the 270 card. We're going to give initial picks here, and then next week we're going to see how we did.
All right.
So, Figuerato versus Moreno. Who you got and how?
Personally, I think that Brandon Moreno is going to win this fight. I think that he is going to do the same thing that he did in the previous two fights. If Figgy doesn't bring anything new to the table, I don't see any reason for there to be a different outcome. The one thing that I'm worried about with the pick is that, Figueredo might, if he was sick or not himself, whatever the last two fights, that's one thing that I am worried about. I see this one being a firefight, but I see it going the distance, and I see Moreno getting the unanimous decision.
I'm going to go on the opposite end of the spectrum and say that I'm going to go with a Figueredo knockout in the middle to late rounds.
Okay.
Which I know might be crazy to think because we don't Moreno walked through a lot of his shots. So it's not going to be easy to put him down, but I really feel like with Figueredo switched to camp in Arizona for Moreno's former camp with Henry Cejudo. So now Figueredo's training with Henry Cejudo. And we know all about Henry Cejudo and what he's done in the octagon. So with his help, I really think his striking is going to be on another level coming into this fight, higher than what it already was. So I'm going to roll with Figueredo knockout, middle to late rounds.
Okay, I can get with that.
And then, but yeah, I mean, this is one it's going to go either way, But for the pick, Figueredo middle late rounds.
Okay. For the main fight.
All right, for the big one.
I can't see Nganu not knocking him out. I think if I had to put money on it, and if I had to pick, I'm picking Nganu to knock him out in the early rounds, probably second round. I think the first round is going to be a little bit of feeling out, keeping him at range. Ngannou's probably not going to land any big shots first round, and then the second round, I think he might get a little bit impatient and go after him. And we just haven't seen Gane get hit, so I don't even know how his chin is. But I don't think that anybody can take a shot from Nganu.
I'm going to yet again go on the opposite side here. I'm going to go by – see, this is where it's hard, man, because I don't want to say Gane by knockout because I don't think Francis Ngannou is going to get put out.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Gane by decision solely on the fact that he's going to stay at range, pick apart Ngannou with leg kicks. He's going to leg kick. He's going to leg kick the shit out of Ngannou.
Yeah.
Because we saw what happened when – Rosenstrike was throwing leg kicks in Nganu. He was like, okay, you know what? F this. I'm going to go and swing it. I'm just going to go for it. But I think the difference in that being is that Gane is obviously a much more seasoned striker than Rosenstrike was, and he has the ability to move back and evade shots.
That's true.
But the scary thing, dude, this is just one of those picks where it's like, man, this is almost like the Thiago Santos and John Jones fight where it's like, okay, yeah, I remember seeing this meme, that meme where it's like, I wonder what he's thinking about right now. And it's the guy laying in bed next to his wife or whatever. And she's like, I wonder if he's thinking about other girls right now. But it's like a little thought bubble. And it was, I remember this one for the Santos fight. It was like, what if Santos lands a left hook?
Exactly.
So it's like, it's the same thing with this one. It's like, okay, Gane's such a good striker, but what if Ngannou lands a shot?
Yeah.
What happens?
And if the way that Gane fights, he's going to have to keep him at bay for 5 rounds. I don't see that happening. That's why I'm going with Ngannou, because I think if he is able to keep him at range for 5 rounds, throw his kicks to the body, keep him distant, land jabs, land leg kicks, yeah, he can win like that. But I don't see Ngannou, I don't see him being able to keep him at distance for that long.
Yeah. I definitely see that. Like I can like part of me wants to say Nganu by knockout just because it's Francis Ngannou.
Exactly.
But you also got to take into account here too is that they're not fighting in the apex, so they're fighting in regulation size octagon, which allows Gon much more room to move.
Yes.
Like when I because Nganu fought Miocic too, that was in the apex, right?
Yep.
So, and it showed he didn't have a lot of room to maneuver around.
Yeah.
But I think with Gon's movement, he's going to be able to keep Ngannou exactly where he wants him, and Ngannou is eventually going to get frustrated and rush in, and that's when I think Gon takes him down. I do see Gon taking this. I do see him taking him down at least once. I really do.
I think he
I think he's going to make Francis Ngannou wrestle.
I can see it.
There are so many what ifs with this fight. What if Ngannou lands a shot? What if Gon can take a shot from Ngannou? What happens then? What if this fight goes to the ground? Is Ngannou going to get submitted? Well, like, you just don't know. But ultimately, $1 million question, final answer, locking it in, Gon by decision. He's going to wear him out. He's going to ride him out. He's going to move him. He's going to maneuver around, tire him out, and walk him down the late rounds.
All right. I definitely look forward to this card this weekend. I look forward to us discussing it on next week's episode too. I think that is going to be a fun, especially since we picked, we really picked two opposite picks. So I think it'll be fun to come back and discuss that. But
yeah, it's going to be fun, and maybe we'll eventually have to start putting some friendly wagers on picks.
Yep.
Especially since we're streaming live on the podcast here.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's going to just about do it. For everyone out there listening and watching, make sure to follow us on social. We are now on social media.
Yep.
So on Twitter, Off the Canvas MMA on Twitter and Instagram as well. They're also on, if you're watching via stream on YouTube or Twitch, they're right on the screen there for you. But to everyone listening, Off the Canvas MMA on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's right like above my head, or both of our heads on there. Off the Canvas MMA, got the little Twitter icon, little YouTube icon, little Instagram icon. So for anybody that's watching,
be sure to follow us on Twitter. Yeah, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Like the podcast says, we're going to be posting weekly until both of us have more time to maybe bust out 2 episodes a week. Who knows? But being college athletes, you have very little time as it is, but making do with what we can. So, but yeah, very excited to see how this fight, how this weekend plays out. Going to make for a very interesting episode. And then next week we have Fight Night Hermanson versus Strickland to discuss, and that's going to be an interesting one for sure too.
Definitely
matchup of different styles.
Some cool fights there too.
So thank you to everyone for tuning in. Be sure to follow us on socials, and we will see you all next Thursday. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you guys.